What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Mindshare podcast. This show is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals, as well as REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. Learn more about our sponsor by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. While you're there, be sure to download your free copy of my book, The Ultimate Marketing Bundle, as well as learn more about our one-to-one coaching. Also, when you get there, you're going to see a pop-up about our upcoming Mindshare Mastermind taking place in Toronto, and here is what you need to know. We're hosting a two-day Mindshare. We're doing it in Toronto. It's happening May 29th and 30th, literally next week. We're going to be live from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on both days with an awesome night out on the first day. As this show is being recorded right now, we are literally only days away from being live together. We're going to be covering off things like mindset, marketing, systems, branding, communication, culture, resilience. It is going to be powerful. Now, if you haven't registered yet, I'm telling you now, you're going to miss out huge. Sorry, just a fact. But if you're thinking to yourself right now, okay, I'm in, then go to my website right now. Like, stop waiting. Just like, don't even watch the show. No, I'm joking. Watch the show, but do it after. But get yourself in that room with us by going to my website and get yourself registered. We got a few spots left. We'll see you in Toronto. Today's episode is number 232. So, do you know anybody that's worked with Sir Elton John or maybe Elon Musk? Or anybody who sent people down to the wreck of the Titanic on the seabed, or closed museums in Florence for a private dinner party and had Andrea Bocelli serenade them while they ate their pasta. Quoted as the real-life Wizard of Oz by both Forbes and Entrepreneur magazine, he is the best-selling author with Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen, and Go for Stupid, The Art of Achieving Ridiculous Goals. He's a sought-after coach, a top-rated speaker who's keynoted a variety of networks, groups, and associations, as well as the Pentagon and Harvard twice. He's also the host of the Art of Making Things Happen podcast and co-founder with his son, Henry, who is a wicked cool dude, of the leading brand agency called Sims Media. Joining me on this episode of the Mindshare podcast is the real-life Wizard of Oz himself, Mr. Steve Sims. Steve, welcome to the Mindshare podcast.
How you doing, pal? You good?
I am doing awesome, brother. And having you on the show, I'm even better right now, man. I'm super pumped to have you here. And I know, like, what part of the world are you in right now? I know for you, you could be anywhere confused. At any time.
I get confused. So it's funny you say that. I ordered a drink last night and they asked me for my room number. And I gave them the room number of the hotel that I was in like a week ago. So I do get confused as to where I am. I'm actually at the moment just ending a gig at the Biltmore at Asheville, North Carolina. The most amazing house you've ever seen.
Nice. Now I'm curious, did they still give you the drink after you used the wrong room number?
Thankfully they did. I had a trusting face.
Oh, that's good, man. Well, I appreciate you making the time. I know that again, you're busy. You're probably headed back home this afternoon. So it's awesome. But I wanted to jump in here because I think that this is something that I know that I don't even think I actually read off of the bio right there. But you've got an event where you take people to prison for the day. Now, anybody that's listening in right now, for everybody listening, yes, I said that right. He takes people to prison for the day. The question here is, why do you do this? Like, what are you hoping that people actually take away from an experience like that?
Well, the funny thing is, it's really easy to get into prison. It's just a lot harder to get out in the same day. So that's where the talent and trick lies. So I believe that as communication is becoming more and more vital, we need to learn the art of doing it right. And to do that, sometimes you've got to have those difficult conversations. It's like when you have a heated argument with your wife, you know? And I recall that a while ago, I was asked, would I be part of an entrepreneurial program that goes inside to level 4 maximum security prisons and teaches and works with what they call EITs, entrepreneurs in training, people that quite simply are in there for multiple life sentences and to take that hustle into productive manners. And I went along because I just thought, this will add to my street cred. It'll make a really cool little Instagram story and all. And I did it purely for me. But I met a lot of people inside that had made mistakes. And I found a lot of positivity. People that had done ridiculous things, you know, through drugs or being parts of gangs or just growing up in the wrong town and getting in with the wrong people and doing it 3 times, and now they lock you up and they throw the key away. And I found that I could understand and I could relate to these people, and they're there with positivity, knowing that they're not going to get out for anywhere from like 5 years to never. Wow. And they're like, hey, I did that. I own it. That's my shit. But I'm not going to allow it to define the man I am. I'm going to be the person I want to be, and that's what I'm going to die as. And to see positivity in some of the darkest yards that you'll ever, hopefully never walk on. And then you come outside and people are like, oh shit, I spent $100 on Facebook ads and I didn't make $1 million. Oh my God, my coffee's not the best cappuccino. And you suddenly find a new perspective, a new positivity. And the dumb thing was, at the end of this day, when I went in, and I went in with Jason Gaynard, Tim Ferriss, Cameron Harold. So it was quite a pretty elite group of people that we went in there with. At the end of it, they went, oh, I hope you've liked it. You know, can you support our program and make a donation of $5 or stuff? And I was like, that's got to be the worst close ever. So I said to him, I said, look, what I got out of today has made me a better person, better father, better husband, and just more humble, but also wealthier. You know, when you're in there and you come out, grass is greener. Yeah. The sky is fresher. I remember coming home, and I've been doing this for 5 years now, sitting outside with my old fashioned in my garden. I'm a Vanderbilt. I'm the richest person on the planet because I've got the ability to make the choice what I do. So I said to him, I'm going to bring entrepreneurs in here. It's going to disrupt the communication they have with the people they have it. They're going to learn a new ability to be able to communicate. And here's the little, you know, the puncher. I'm going to charge them $500 to come to prison. Let alone going to prison is a very dark, uncomfortable situation.
I'm going to charge you to go.
I'm going to charge you for the privilege.
And people are actually paying for it.
Yeah. Well, we've actually taken on, I think the last count was over 120 entrepreneurs into prison. And I regularly see people go on and just do these postings about how it changed them, how it messed with them, and how they've been able to grow from it and how they've learned to communicate. Because there's all of us, and you know this, you're a speaker, you're a coach, but we still get a little bit nervous, don't we? And every now and then we're in a certain room and we ask ourselves, what can I bring to this room? How can I relate to that person? Get yourself in a situation where you are uncomfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and then all of a sudden, everything else is a walk in the park.
Perspective is everything, isn't it?
Yep.
It really is. And I think I bang on. It's for all the little things that we stress about in a day, when we start to realize that if somebody can be in the darkest places in the world and still somehow find some sunlight, and we're not forced in those situations, but we are technically in the sunlight at all times. It's a matter of actually recognizing that there's a lot of good around us.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that that's something that we all need to, remind ourselves about on a regular basis. And I mean, that's something that, you know, you and I even talk about on closed lines. Like, it's put everything in perspective and truly understand what you've got. And, you know, this is for me where goals and gratitude come in, but we'll get there in a moment because I want to ask you about that. But I also wanted to bring up the Andrea Bocelli. Now, I've read both of the books, and for anybody who hasn't, I want to encourage that everybody goes and gets, a copy of both of these books, Blue Fishing and Go for Stupid. These are both of, both books that Steve authored. So I've read the stories, I've spoken with you about it, but this whole idea, and so everybody understands, like, this guy literally brought in Andrea Bocelli to serenade some people that really wanted this. And I mean, again, to most people, this would seem like next to impossible. But you made it seem like to you it was a complete no-brainer. So the question here becomes, tell us about the mindset that it took for you to believe that you could make it happen. And then even some of those action steps, because what I want people to do right now is they listen to the stories, internalize. Maybe it's not Andrea Bocelli that they're trying to get. Maybe it's not trying to close down, some worldwide monument that people go to, which you did. But maybe it's something else. But they got to figure out how to have the belief to do it and what steps they can take to actually make it happen. So how did you do that?
It ain't hard. Okay?
See, like that's the thing. Most people would think it's impossible.
Would they? Let me challenge you.
Go for it.
Most adults would look at this as impossible. But how many 5-year-olds would think it's impossible? Every 5-year-old thinks they're a freaking superhero or they're a spaceman or they're whatever because they just have the audacity of ignorance that we don't learn through the years of the scars that puts us in a box. You know, you turn around to a 5-year-old and they're running around and they've got a pillowcase strapped to their back. And you as parents, you go, hey, Tommy, what are you? And they go, I'm a superhero. I'm flying through the air. And as parents, we turn around and we go, yes, you are, Tommy. But then they're still wearing that pillowcase when they're 12. And what do? We go, grow up. Stop acting like a kid. I didn't grow up. You know, the point is, most people turn around and they go, I can't do that. I insert one word in there. Why? Why can't I do that? Why shouldn't it be me? Why shouldn't Andrea Bocelli want to play at my event? Why shouldn't I get a museum to close down? Why should I not be the person that X? And when you insert that why, curiosity kicks in. And today we're very, very busy reading books, discovering, learning tactics. But the most successful people in the planet have one single thread of trait. They're curious. And curiosity comes with a childlike mind, and it comes with a gamification, and it comes with an innocence that nothing is impossible until we grow up and we start telling us, know our place, stick to our lane, stick to your sandpit, stick in your box. Fuck that. Be a 5-year-old.
So simple. Like you said it, so simple. Right? Stop putting up the roadblocks. Like anything that you want, stop putting up the roadblocks. I mean, same thing. I've got a guy that's going to be joining us on next week. The guy interviewed Shaq. He interviewed Drake. I spoke to him on the phone the other day. He says to me, yeah, I'm just doing this Mother's Day special just prior to Mother's Day. I said, oh, yeah. He says, so I'm recording today because we can't record Sunday. I said, who are you interviewing? He goes, Shaq's mom and Vince Carter's mom. I started laughing. I go, you're going right to the top for this one, right? But it comes back, and I'm not going to share how we got that because that's, we'll cover that
next week,
in a couple of days, right? But the point was when I was like, how? Not dumbfounded by the possibility or impossibility, more around, so how? And it's very interesting, but I like the spin that you just brought to that of it's just it really comes down to a mindset.
Yeah, it does. But the funny thing is, it doesn't come down to a mindset. It doesn't come down to a mindset change. It comes down to a mindset reverse.
Yeah.
You already had this mindset when you were 5 that nothing was impossible. You already had that belief system when you were a child that you were going to ride away on a pink pony. You already had that mindset. And life, parents, mistakes, business, they colored it and they weighed you down with baggage. I'm just saying, remove some of that and go back to that childlike curiosity, because that's where the growth and the imagination and the explosion happens.
It's like it's almost too simple. It's like literally take away all the barriers that you've built for yourself, just drop them and just go.
I have always said that no one should be paying me to speak on stage. and you know I get paid to speak on stage all over the planet. I'm ripping people off. There you go. I've said it. I've said it live, because everything I preach should be stuff that you're doing in any case. There is nothing hard in any of the books that I've written, and these books will piss you off because you'll read it and you'll go, hang on a minute, he's saying I should do that. And it's the simple stuff that works. Everyone's searching for, well, where can I outsource this? Where can I spend 20 grand to get somebody else to do it? Do it yourself.
Just do it.
Do it with purpose. Do it with impact, and keep it simple. And the most impactful things in the planet are simple. I'm just amazed. I literally just finished off this event in Asheville, and there are people in there hellishly smarter than me. And I'm like, well, are you doing this? No, I never thought of that. Well, you did. You just went past it. You thought, can't be that easy.
Yeah.
Got to find out. We've got to build a program to try and complicate the shit out of something. And that's what people do. We overcomplicate. And I just try to strip that down to keep to the basics.
You know, I've probably shared this with you, but I tell the kids every night of their life, like they know it, whether I'm at a hotel or I'm tucking them into bed, it's you can do it. And it's been since the day they were born. And Jennifer would sit there and say again, honey, they can't understand you. I said, they will. And now it's innate that when they tell me they can't, I just look at them. They look at me. They're like, well, I can, but I'm like, okay, get past the but, let's go. And it's just instilling a different mindset into them. Right. Now, when we look at this stuff and we say, okay, I want to make this happen. There's something, and to everybody tuned in right now, again, you're listening, you're thinking about it. There's something that you want to make happen. I mean, is there? And where I'm going with this one is, before we can make it happen, we actually need to know what we want to make happen. And as I've titled today, The Art of Making Things Happen and Achieving Ridiculous Goals, how do we truly figure out what it is that we want to make happen, or maybe where those barriers are that we've set? I mean, I bring this right into goals and the process. Like, why are they so integral to this part of the process so that we can actually achieve stuff?
Well, you answered it with the last line. Unless you know where the goalpost is, you can't score.
Right.
So you need to be able to identify. You need to identify, first of all, what you want to go for. The second thing, why that's so important. You know, like a lot of people are like, I want to make $1 million. I want $10 million in the bank. Well, that's a line item. What will that do to your life? The sad thing is, a lot of people hide behind achievements. You know, oh, once I've got this Ferrari, you know, oh my God, I would have made it. And then you get the Ferrari, and you're still the same person. And the world's not suddenly sunny every day. And you're like, I remember, and this sounds obnoxious for people out there that are maybe not in that position, but I remember as a kid growing up, I always wanted to be a millionaire. And that's all I ever wanted to be, because most kids wanted to be a millionaire. You wanted to be rich. And then you sit there and you made your first million and you're like, I'm still broke. You know, you've got house payments to pay. You've got 3 kids in private school, and you're broke. If I was to give you $1 million now and say, right, move to Manhattan, you're not retiring. You're buying something the size of a toilet, and then you've got tax on top of that. So maybe there's a place in Idaho. I always pick on Idaho. I shouldn't pick on Idaho, but maybe there's a place out there somewhere that's a potato farm that for $1 million you could do well. But you've got to understand, what is the goal, and then why is it the goal? What is it going to do? What is the impact you've got to be? And here's the other thing. If you're going to go for something, shouldn't it be stupid?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, right? Because again, I know the book Go for Stupid. I've read it. And again, I want to tell everybody else, like, pick it up, make sure you read it, right? But that's what I wanted to say to you, because I get that question a lot from people. And I believe this. First off, back before I used to write goals, and they used to say, okay, it's time to set goals. And I'd sit there, the naysayer in the audience, okay, yeah, fuck that. I just want to make $1 bajillion. Let's move on this part. And we just keep going and going. And, then I get to the next one. Okay, time to set goals. And I'm like, fuck, I just want to make $1 bajillion. They're like, write it down. I'm like, how many zeros does that have? And no shit, I never wrote it down. And no shit, I haven't got $1 bajillion. So it clicked to me one day that in order to actually achieve, I've got to write this shit down. I can't just say what I want. I can't just think about what I want. I got to write it down, and I got to understand why I want it. But then the next thing comes to it, and this is a question I get from people. This is a question that we wonder about. We've heard that term BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. You referenced the whole thing of like ridiculous goals, right? Should we be setting goals that are like unachievable? And I will preface that and say to you, I don't necessarily believe goals are meant to be hit. That's my personal belief system. I think they're meant to drive us. They're meant to keep pushing us to be better, to grow. But beyond maybe my thinking, because a lot of people sit back and they're like, well, Dave, if I set a goal that I can't hit, then how's it ever going to feel good if I'm never actually able to hit it? What do you say to that?
So there's a lot of the answers already in the statement, but you already know that. There is...
But anyway, hold on. Knowing it and then believing it is two different things. I know it. I believe it because I live it. A lot of other folks are like, they're like me when it was the $1 bajillion. They say, yeah. Can we move on with the next part of the presentation? Because they don't even want to talk about stuff.
I like the way you say about the goals not being hit. Okay. There is a real crime to go for what's achievable. Because when you're going for something that's achievable, let's say for argument's sake, you're doing something and you're making $500. Then it's very achievable to go, well, if I just do a little bit here and here, I can increase that by 10%. That's a walk in the park, a 10% growth on that 500, that can be done. If I do a little bit, maybe I can knock that up to $600. But could I do that and make that $1,000? No. Okay. But here's the daft thing. When you set those goals that have moved away from the achievable and gone into the realm of stupid, goals that people around you just go, really? And here's the key. Then you drive towards them. You stand a chance of two things. One, failing, okay, which creates education. But here's the daft thing. If your goal was 1,000 and you're on 500, you may very, very rarely hit the 1,000, but you'll fail at 900. You would have become educated and you would have gone way past what this achievable goal was. And here's the second thing that happens. Every now and then, you get it. Now, when I was actually doing, my concierge firm, and I came up, the client said to me, I want an amazing dining experience in Florence. I was the one that went, okay, what's the most ridiculous thing that I could come up with? What's so laughable and stupid? I don't know. Let's close down the entire museum and have a dining table for 6 at the feet of Michelangelo's David. And I went for it. That was the momentum. I went for it. I was stunned walking out of the academia with approval. I was like, I've got it.
Wow.
And that lasted until my espresso went down. Because as my espresso went down, and I was literally sitting around the corner by the Diamo, and it's just going down, and I'm like, I got that. What can I do now? It was and so that's where, okay, I've got the most amazing location in Florence. I can stop there and I can settle. Or I can go again. What's the most entertainment? Well, okay, who's the most famous entertainer in it? And it was Andrea Bocelli. So, and I went for that. I just went for it thinking this would be insane. You're eating your meatballs and you've got the maestro himself serenading you at the feet of Michelangelo's David. That's just, in technical terms, fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. To be technical about it.
So when he actually said yes, I literally was like, at what? I got it. Now, here's the thing that I realized. I had dared to ask. Now, I could have got a no, and I could have failed, and they would have only had the Accademia de Galleria and the View.
Only.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, only, right? Only.
I would have failed up, but I dared to ask. And a lot of people today, and this is where it gets silly, you can say to someone, hey, if you could do anything in the world, what would it be? And they'll be like, oh, play piano with Elton John, you know? And you'll go, great, can you do that? And then they'll be like, I don't really know how to play the piano, and I don't know Elton John, and I probably couldn't do it. People will say what they want in 1 nanosecond and then spend 5 minutes telling you why it can't happen. You don't even have to say anything. They will talk themselves out of their achievements because people do that. They dumb themselves down. And 9 times out of 10, because it's got dumb surroundings. How many times, and I know you've got a mindset, the Mindshare podcast says it all, your mindset is very strong. But the first thing that we have to do in order to be able to grow that mindset is to surround ourselves with people that challenge us up. Far too often, we're sitting there in a coffee shop talking to people about, well, I want to create this podcast and I want to impact people, and I'm gonna throw an event like your killer event that's coming up. I'm going to throw an event and I'm going to have people there and I'm going to change these people. Now, if you haven't got the right surroundings, people around that coffee table are going to be like, are you nuts? Are you, David, what the hell are you doing? And you'll go, yeah, I don't know what, and you won't do it. The trick is to surround yourself with people that go, is that it?
Yeah.
You know,
not even just say okay, but actually challenge you to go. Is that all you can do?
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with my boy Jay Abraham a while back, and I thought I was golden. I thought I'd come up with this amazing concept, and I was like, I was full of myself. And Jay looked at me with his little grin, as he usually does, and he just went, "Is that it?" I'm like, "What do you mean, boy? You know, this is absolutely brilliant." And he turns around and he went, "Do you know, knowing you, I was just expecting a little more." And I was like, fuck, you know.
There's the right people to be surrounded by, right?
Those are the people you need to be around. Those are the people. So if your crowd are crabs and they're holding you down by the legs, you got to move. You got to change bucket. You got to move sandpit.
Figure out what you want. Figure out why you want it. Don't put any barriers around. Surround yourself with the right people. What about the sheer mindset when I lay my head down at night or I look myself in the mirror around the what if I don't succeed? What if I don't get it? That whole thing, that 4-letter word of fear. How do we get past that then? Because I got the people around me like, man, you got this. And I'm like, starting to fly a little bit. I feel the support. I'm like, you know what? I can do this shit. Yet there's still that seed of doubt going on back there. And I'm like, man, that's a ridiculous goal. What about the mindset? Like, is there anything there that we can be doing, or what do you suggest people are doing from a mindset perspective? Is that just get out of your own fucking head? Is that read more books? What is that? Because most people will have that fear. Even after they hear people tell them, yeah, you could do it, they're still like, I don't know if I can. And then procrastination kicks in and then everything just vanishes.
And they don't do it.
Right.
I remember I was very blessed. I was down at SpaceX with Elon Musk.
Who?
And yeah,
that guy. Yeah.
I just thought I'd name drop that.
Yeah.
There.
Well, never mind. You brought up Elton John. I was about to say we could talk the story about that. You know, running all that stuff for him, right? Like, anyways, sorry, keep going.
So I was down at SpaceX, and do you remember when he was focusing on bringing back the fuel cells of the rockets? And they would land on that floating platform in the ocean.
And everybody told him there's no way. And even his board wanted to get him out of there because they thought he was nuts.
And it would fall over and it would explode like a Hollywood movie. Do you remember that?
Yep.
So I remember being there at one of those early ones. Now, bear in mind, let's back it up. As a child, he realized the most expensive thing about the rocket was not sending it going up there. It was the fuel cells that would end up being space junk. And so he was like, hang on a minute. If we get them back, we can fill them up again and bolt them back on again. It can go up again. Now, It's a little bit more difficult than that, but it all starts off with that childlike thought. And that's what he did. The technicalities of how strong it's got to be, where it's bolted, where it lands, hey, that's just technicality, you know? But we're going to get them back, we're going to plug them back in again, and we're going to send it up again. So he came up with that concept. And I was at Hawthorne at like their mission center. And we're all sat there, and there's all the screen. It looks like Houston Mission Control, and there's all these big screens up, and there's loads of graphs and a couple of live videos for us idiots in the back of the room. But most of it, just the technical data that's going on. So it comes down. And bear in mind, it's come from outer space, and it's now landing on a floating platform in the middle of the ocean. That in itself is a success. All right. So it's like you trying to throw a golf ball, you know, into a hole from the other end of a football pitch, you know. But he did that. So we're watching. It comes down, it sits down there, it falls over, and it explodes. Now, all of us melons at the back of the room, we all just go, fuck.
Right.
And we move back. We cover our mouths. We're in shock. It didn't work. He's blown up millions of dollars just there. Oh, my God, this is terrible. Woe is me. But I picked up on something. As I recoiled because of this explosion, where he was stood over one of the computer screens with one of his technicians, as we all went back, he went forward.
Right.
He leant in. Now, he wasn't looking. He was done with the crash. The crash has happened. That's a fact. You know? It banged, yeah, great. He wasn't even looking. He was going, okay, what did we learn from that? Where's the education? As I say, it came from up there. It landed there. It was good for a couple of seconds. It wobbled. So where did it go wrong? So the point is, he didn't fail. He became educated. Now, that thing landed on that deck, fell over and exploded. A load of people saw it. But when was the last time you saw it fall over? When was the last time, forget falling over, when was the last time you even saw it landing on the floating deck? When was that?
No idea.
No. Do you know why?
Because it had never happened before.
It doesn't make news anymore because his education got him the gyro systems in there that works. He's been up and down into space like pretty regular, but it hasn't exploded. As people, we're fucking horrible. We love seeing things that go wrong. We love seeing shows where people walk into doors. We love seeing people trip and fall over. We find that hilarious. So when we're trying to do something with our life, it's not a case of we're frightened of failing. It's a fear of being seen to fail and being laughed at. Now, Elon Musk never cared. And now you don't see it because it works. It's not a case of what would you do today if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do today if you had no fear of being laughed at? And that little doubting Thomas on our shoulder that goes, David, you need to stick to your lane, mate. You need to get that person on board. And you literally, and I used to do this, and I'm surprised I wasn't locked up. I would talk to myself. Why can't I be in this room? Yep. Hey, I'm just wondering. I would look at my shoulder, and I'd be like, why can't I be in this room? I just want clarification. Why can't I walk up on that stage? Why can't I ask the Pope to get a couple of my friends mad? Why can't I ask Elton John to? The second you start confronting that doubt, it starts to shut up. And do you know what happens? Then you go for it and you become educated. And now you're credible. And now you've got experience. That's where confidence comes from. Confidence doesn't come because you made an order on Amazon. Confidence comes because you did things twice, you did it 3 times, and each time you got better and better. That is reliability that I can do that. That's confidence. And so I always speak to myself, well, why can't I do that? Well, why not me? And I question it. And you will have to confront your doubts in the early stages, but sooner or later, they become your allies. And now when I go and do something, and I sit there and I go, I think I'm going to go into space. They just sit down and read the newspaper because they like he's going to go to space.
He's going
That's
to
what
go.
he wants to do. That's what he's going to do.
You know, it's powerful what you just shared there. Absolutely. I mean, one thing that took time for me to learn, but it's now instilled in me, and I know it. The process towards success is loaded with failure, and with failure comes learning. So if you don't try, you don't fail. Therefore, you don't learn.
Yep.
If you do try, there's a good chance you will fail because you tried. Yet most people didn't even try. So now that you failed, you actually learned, you got better. Now you know what to do again next time. And you're that much further ahead than everybody else. You know, to me, that's a big driving factor. And, you know, that same thing with you having the conversation with your shoulder. I can tell you there's times where I'm ruminating, my mind's going crazy about something, and I begin to talk to myself out loud about what's going on. So, okay, what's actually happening, David? Okay, what's your role? Okay, what can you do about it? Well, the minute I go through that conversation out loud with myself, oftentimes I find myself chuckling at myself because I'm like, are you seriously stressing about this shit? You've just figured out what to do. You know, either you've got something you got to do to deal with it or shut the fuck up because it's over. It's one or the other, but let's keep moving. And these are little things, though, that we learn by going through the processes of truly figuring out where we're at. Now, as you bring up this idea of, you know, try, failing, and learning, and doing it because you believe in it, and doing it because you're not scared of what other people might think. And we got a lot of people that won't get on video, they won't get on a podcast, they won't go in and make a phone call because they're scared of what other people think. Some people, this goes across a lot of different platforms, and you'll know exactly where I'm going with this one when I say, let's talk authenticity for a moment. Because this is, I knew you would chuckle, right? This is one of those things that we're told be your authentic self, yet most 99% of people are scared to be their authentic self. And it's like, if you actually just embrace that and you go out and do it, you realize how much happier you are and how much more you're going to achieve. Talk to me about authenticity. Well, what's your take on that? Should people be worried about it? I mean, I know it's a can of worms.
So isn't it funny where as a generation, we spend effort on appearing to be the person that you would like rather than the no effort of just being who we are. And so the entire world has tried to create this persona that we are more confident, we are more eloquent, we are more intelligent. And then what happens? People turn around and go, well, I wish I could see you. And then all of a sudden, when they meet someone who is, as you use the word, authentic, they revere that person. How many people do you now know where they turn around and go, oh, you want to speak to David? The guy's so authentic. How the hell are we actually giving that, praise? Oh, look at David. He's him. Shouldn't we all just be us? I noticed years ago, it takes zero effort to be me. I don't understand why I would want to be anybody else. And you say about authenticity, I like transparency. I like to be able to talk to someone and I want to go, what are you about? If you're stood there and you go, hey, how are you? I'm a Windows salesman. I'm going to be trying to sell you Windows. Do you need Windows? Yeah, I do need Windows. Great. Let's have a conversation. No, I don't need Windows. Okay, fine. Then you don't need me, but how's life? You know, I want to be able to have transparency. Today, everyone is concerned that we've been lied to. We've been manipulated. Conspiracies have never been thicker than they are today. Mm-hmm. And we're suspicious. And what we revel in, what we adore, what we yearn for, and what we grasp hold of is clarity. When I know this does this, I'm happy. I know there's no hidden agenda. And so people, I want to know that I'm dealing with people. Now, if they're flawed, so are we. You know, if they've got some funny views, I just want to know what they are. But I want to be able to trust what I understand and what I can recognize and what I can see and not be terrified that it's actually some kind of concoction that you've designed for a better look on social.
So people are scared to be them.
Yeah.
They're scared to let themselves down, I think, or let that guard down. This is, and you
Or be
said it. I mean,
judged.
well, this is why they'll buy a certain car and dress a certain way and do certain things and not
Yeah.
put themselves on social because it's, oh my God, I don't want people to see who I am.
Yes.
How could anybody maybe recognize that they're doing that they are concerned? And then what are some things that maybe they can do to just stop being concerned? Like if it's again, I get up and I worry about what I'm wearing, I worry about how I present myself, I worry about how I talk because I want to make sure I come across the right way. Do they just say fuck it and just do whatever they do the way they would in their underwear at home? Like what's the step there? Because I don't even know if people necessarily realize how pretentious so many people can be about things.
So the answer is yes.
Okay.
They just say fuck it and stop.
Yep.
But we know that answer is not easy.
No.
And 9 times out of 10, most people realize that the cheapest and freest and most expensive marketing in the planet is social. And when I say that it's free, none of these platforms charge you to be on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not on it, that's when it becomes really expensive. Okay, so you're on there trying to sell your real estate, trying to sell your plumbing services, trying to sell your coaching services. And over the years, you develop this persona, this image, this caricature of you. And then you're like, this isn't me. That's when you've got to turn around and go, do you know, I got caught up in the train. I was trying to change the tires on a speeding vehicle. I'm not going to do any of that anymore. This is me. I don't have that shit put together, but I know what I need to do about it. You know, this is what I'm for. We've also taken a shift. Prior to COVID, we were buying courses from people that were leaning up against cars that they didn't own. We were taking fucking life coaching lessons from a swimwear model, you know, just because she's in her bikini with a little Hallmark card going, be you, you know, and all that bullshit. Now we're aggravated. Now we're trying to search for the substance. I'm going to take you on, David, to be my coach. Why the fuck should I do that? And that's what people are asking themselves now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you can be transparent with your growth, your wounds, and that's where the power is. The wounds, the issues, the mistakes, the growth, the education. If I can see all of that, I can make a decision on whether or not David's the best person for me. So I think today we've got to focus on lowering your guard, being you, and allowing people to recognize whether or not you are the fit that they need or not. And here's the thing. If you're not, great. You saved yourself irritating conversations.
You know, this is where we start to find our people and our people find us. And now all of a sudden the people that you're dealing with, you want to deal with, you're happy dealing with, and it becomes a lot more natural, which then starts to just, snowball into meeting more of those people that are very much like-minded. Because it's awesome. Every time you ask somebody, who's in a business, who's your target audience? They might say everybody.
Yeah.
And in our world, we deal with a lot of salespeople, a lot of people in the real estate industry, and like, who's your target audience? Well, anybody with a house. And I say, okay, I don't disagree with that. Yes, you want to be able to sell any house that's there, but that's not really your target audience. You've got to figure out who your people are. Who are the people you normally do business with? What are those psychographics? What are those demographics? Figure that out. Now you start to look and say, those are the people that that are attracted to me. Those are the people I'm attracted to. Now it's just easy. Right. But by figuring yourself out, I mean, that's something that has taken me a long time to get to be very comfortable with who we are, what we represent, what people see of us. The best part is, as we start to get comfortable with that, we start to actually see that that's what people are looking for in us. And then we become that much more real. And now you're just having a shit ton of fun doing it.
It's so easy to be you, isn't it?
You know what? That's the thing. It is so easy. Yeah. And when you're not scared about who you're going to piss off or who's going to look and go, oh my God. Like if somebody's going to look and say that, then you're not meant to be together anyways. Friends, business, relationships, you're just not meant to be.
I'm aware that I actually repel a lot of people because of my stunning good looks. And
It's the hair, man. It's the hair.
I just feel as though, well, that's your issue, not mine. You know, I can't help this.
That's it. So okay. So as we talk about this, we talk about authentic self and be who you are and the comfort around that and the fear. You've got a branding company. And I know for myself, when we sit there and talk marketing, and I speak with people about that, and I say, Mindshare is a top of mind, intuitive, instinctive reaction to a product or service. It's not necessarily about the colors. It's not necessarily about the logo. It's that little space that you occupy on somebody's brain for instant recollection that when they think about what you do for a living, they think of you first. What say you? What would be just, and again, I know branding is a whole nother conversation. We could spend tons of time on it, but in terms of a message for anybody thinking about branding, it's them, in of its own, maybe it ties right into the authenticity part, but what message might we say to people about branding? Just a thought, a point, something they should know about.
Clarity. Today, brevity is king. And clarity is queen. So you've got to be short and sharp. Here's the thing. I'm a plumber and I clean blocked toilets. I'm a hairdresser and I make you look younger. Just those are two simple taglines that should be the entirety of the website and your marketing message. You've got to be able to summarize what it is you do and deliver it in a concise, brief manner that allows for no misinterpretation of what it is you're trying to do and to what problem you are solving. Today's world, branding is about uncomplicating 9 times out of 10 the message that you put together to breed something that concisely answers the problem you have.
So be clear, be very clear about what you're doing.
100%. Yep.
It's funny. I was talking with Jen yesterday. We went for a walk and we were talking about one thing led to another. And I don't remember how I said it. She'd probably be able to say it better, but I said something like, because I'm a coach and I'm going to give you the brass fucking tacks. And she looks, she goes, oh my God, we need to use that. I'm like, I don't know. But quite frankly, it's pretty clear. We're going to be very real with you. Now, we just had a question from one of our Mindshare masters in our VIP room here. And he's asking, how do I develop the
Now, I don't know what just happened to your microphone, but I just literally lost you. Can you hear me still? Okay, I lost your microphone. There he is. You're coming back in now. I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
How's that? Are we back?
We're back. We're back. Now I can hear you.
Last week's show, we had that happen 3 times, and typically I'm never wired. Today we are wired. We're still having that issue. Anyways, forgive me. What I was saying was we had one of our Mindshare masters in our VIP question about how did they develop the confidence to conquer that fear.
Confidence is an illusion. Confidence is a unicorn with 3 blue testicles. It doesn't exist. What you want is the reliability that what you can do works. Okay. So you say about, I want confidence. No, what you want is proof. If you're doing something and it works, naturally you become confident. Okay. It's like you want to be thinner. You can't just become thinner. You have to go on a diet. And that the byproduct of being on a diet is being thinner. Confidence is a byproduct of education, and education comes from things working and not working. So that's how you get this confidence thing. I've never tried to go for confidence. I've tried to go for experience.
Okay. So it really is a mindset. Somebody else just put it in there. Fear is a secondary emotion. So
Yeah.
sort of to the comment of the blue testicles on the unicorn. It's not very real. It's something that we just kind of make up to sort of stop ourselves from doing something,
I've
right?
got a brilliant quote, and I get to ride motorcycles with him, but
Yep.
I've got a brilliant quote from one of the greatest poets of our generation, Bodhisattva. And in the movie Point Break with Keanu Reeves,
Mm-hmm.
Bodhi turns around and says, "Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation will cause your worst fears to come true." And that's always stuck with me.
I remember when you shared that one with me once before.
Yep.
It's the truth, isn't it? It's going to stop you from doing
Absolutely.
everything you want to do, and everybody that's around you. And again, this is something you told us a number of weeks ago when we were together. Talk to anybody else about it. You're going to stop right away.
Yep.
Don't share it with other people because they're the first people to bring you down. Right?
Every
First
time.
people to tell you it's not going to work. And then you sit there, like you said earlier in the show about the coffee shop, and you're like, you know what? You're right. Forget it. Bad idea. Right?
Yeah.
Now I was going to ask you, what if you do, what do you do if it doesn't work the first time? But we've already covered that. You got to try again. You got to
You're
learn to
educated.
accept the failure, keep moving. So here's a question for you, a totally different topic here. But as you know, we've got our mastermind coming up in a couple of days. And Sunday night is Sunday night. We get started. Monday's officially the kickoff. But I thought I'd ask you, because you've got experience with this. Why should people attend an event that they know nothing about?
So for you to do that, it's going to make you second guess A, the person that's putting the event on, B, you, and then C, if a load of other people are going along with no information, is that the kind of risk taker I want to hang around with? You see, I've always liked doing events where they have no knowledge, because I've always focused on the fact that we're going to put you in a room with other creative people that were just as uncomfortable, were just as unknowledgeable to the event, but took a shot anyway. And those are that's the circle and the sandpit I want to play in. So I've always thought a good event is not the speakers, it's not the host, it's the group, the community that you've created, and you get a really good one when you give it a little information. You allow it to spawn and explode itself.
It's interesting because as we speak with people, we get a lot of people asking the question of, what is the agenda? Who are the speakers? What's going on? Why am I going to spend that kind of money? Oh, I don't know. It's expensive, compared to what? They don't even know. And a lot of people said, yeah, I've seen it. I don't know enough. And I'm like, exactly. You're either going to be there or you're not. And
Yeah.
you're either going to be able to take in the information or you're not. And if you're not, that's okay. But I mean, even when we talk about the dollars, I've looked at the numbers. We talked about this, you and I, a couple weeks ago on the live. You're essentially getting paid to be there. You're paying yourself. You're just to be there because you're investing in yourself. It's a tax write-off. And I mean, hey, the ROI that comes back out of doing something like this is what, tenfold, if not more. It's an interesting perspective that people have, but we are super excited.
I always love it when people's last resort of argument is money. If I heard someone go, my head's not ready to expand, I'm not ready to develop it. Hey, that's mindset, that's positioning. But money is this fluid thing that goes through your hands, and your job is to direct it into the best situation that can pay you back a good ROI. And surely there's no better ROI than you. So when I see people going, money, I'm like, aren't you worth it? And it's very daft. But hey, the room's going to be filled with the people that it should be filled by.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. It will orchestrate and arrange itself based on the mindset of the people that have chosen to become uncomfortable.
Well, we've got an amazing group. I am super, super excited about it. It will be a powerful 2 days. Steve, the day's over. worked with your clients. You've empowered a shit ton of people around you, like you always do on a daily. You've probably rode your motorcycle. Um, you're about to lay your head down. How do you know it's a successful day or it's been a successful day for you?
Because I can lay my head down. You know, if I'm at peace with myself enough to be able to go to bed, lay next to my beautiful wife, know that my kids are all in their rooms or their houses and they're safe, then job well done. You know, you may not make a raging success every day. You may not make 500,000 every day, but as long as those that are with you are loved, respected, and safe, it's been a day. And then you lay down, you wake up in the morning, and you go again.
See that, everybody? Still, nobody uses the word money to answer that question. I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I ask that question at the end of this show every single time we do this show. And Steve, we're batting 1,000, man. For the hundreds of times I've asked that question, nobody brings up money. Nobody says I made a lot of money. I did a deal. I closed that thing. Nothing. And I think it's powerful. My friend, some final words here. Anything that you want to share with people just as we sign off? Anything that they can do to get out there, build that mind share so that they get more market share?
Challenge yourself. Listen to David's podcast more often. Surround yourself with good people. And if they're not good, then make them better. You're in charge of your sandpit.
Awesome, man. Where can people find you? I know we've got the Instagram handle here on the screen. I'm also, so that's Steve D Sims for anybody tuned in on their favorite podcast platforms. We've also got again my encouragement to you, 2 book recommendations: Blue Fishing and Go for Stupid, both written by this awesome dude. Anywhere else we want to direct people, or did we sort of get them?
You've got it. I'm Steve D Sims anywhere that you consume your media. So if it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, stevedsims.com, I'm really easy to find. So do your Googling and I'll see you there.
My man, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much for making the time for the Mindshare podcast.
Look after yourself.
You are either watching us live, you were listening to this recording, you're on your favorite podcast platform, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. While you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle, our 31-page ebook packed with a 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mindshare so that you can get more market share. A reminder as well that if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, an in-person keynote talk for your upcoming event, and or ongoing virtual training, just get in touch with my team. We'll set up a consultation call, learn more about what you're looking to achieve, and we'll share with you how we're going to help you do exactly that. Reminder that the Mindshare Mastermind is taking place on May 29th and 30th in Toronto. We are going to be collaborating, networking, and problem solving over the course of 2 powerful days. If you're already on the list, get really excited. If you're not yet, well, you still have a little bit of time. So head over to my site right now, mindshare101.com, and get yourself in that room. Do not forget to leave a review of this podcast. Head on over to www.ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Big 5 stars, nothing less. Nice little review. Tell us how much you love us, but super grateful, all jokes aside. And of course, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan101. I want to thank Kids Keep In Touch Systems as well as our friends over at REM Magazine for sponsoring this episode of the Mindshare podcast. Please, when you get a moment, go to our website, visit, find out all about what these 2 awesome companies will do to help you grow your business. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.